Hello everyone and welcome to Sports and Such. I'm your host Kevin Turner and today we come to you from the infirmary known as The Star, the home of the Dallas Cowboys. A lot has changed since we last visited. The Cowboys now have a quarterback controversy. We have a new World Series champion and we might know who the leader of our country is for the next 4 years. But the biggest story of the week is that I broke my elbow.
All right. Kevin says, Dear Pat, recently I was golfing in my hometown of Olney, how do you say that? Olney, Texas.
Yeah.
And I sustained an injury. I tumbled off a raised tee box and broke my elbow. Now I'm in a sling for the foreseeable future. Do you have any advice on overcoming an injury?
Speak the word, and maybe you should use a pitching wedge instead of your driver. I don't know, you've got a bad arm. Talk to it. You know, confess your healing. You know, by his stripes you're healed, and lay your hand on it and confess healing, and watch what God will do. Well, that's all the time we got. Thank you so much for those questions.
Hey there, elbow. He said to talk to you. I know you can't talk back. Confess your healing. Confess your healing. Confess your... Yeah, it didn't work. And now to the sports stories of the week. The Cowboys actually had a lead.
In the Atlanta game?
But the good times ended quickly as the Cowboys ended up losing to the Eagles 23-9 after they let rock-skipping champion Ben DiNucci play quarterback. There was such a mesmerizing element to watching the seventh rounder play. The lack of awareness, the fearlessness, the sidearm throws into the abyss. He was like a dog with his head out the window of a car. No worries, bro. I'm the Nooch. Ruff. Ruff, ruff. DiNucci's college head coach said that the Nooch is, quote, a very confident person and borderline cocky with a lot of energy, end quote. Look, I get it's been a weird year, but I did not think the Cowboys quarterback would have more traits resembling the situation than Dak Prescott. So what's next? Now the undefeated Pittsburgh Steelers come to town, and without giving too much away, spoiler alert, the Cowboys are gonna lose, and it's gonna be an absolute bloodbath, and it's gonna hurt bad. Like that time when you took your shot at the hottest girl in school and asked her to prom, even though you knew she had no clue who you were. And she, of course, said no way in front of everyone at lunch, which was highly embarrassing, but her friend Whitney with that weird eye somehow saw what happened and said she felt bad so she would go with you. But then one-eyed Whitney ended up getting asked to go by some rando JV cross-country dude who was a little more attractive than you. A couple days before the dance, she's like, yeah, I'll go with him. She bails on you. You end up staying home and watching She's All That with your little brother. It's gonna hurt. Just like that. Foreseeing a rough Q4 ahead, Jerry Jones said he's exploring additional revenue sources by converting AT&T Stadium into a Spirit of Christmas store. And is it the worst thing for the Cowboys' general apathy? I mean, back in the day, you used to see everyone wearing Cowboys gear. Nowadays, when you step into a Trader Joe's, it's just full of the pumpkin people. And those people are crazy. That's why I go to Albertsons, where there's always a pretty good chance you'll see Cowboys legends Jason Witten and Randy White shopping for their groceries in full uniform.
Jason, I hadn't lost my touch. I'm still in the game with a little help from my friends from Albertsons.
Hey, honey, I ran into the Manster on aisle 8. Moving on to the other teams in our city, a potential Mavericks logo for their city design jerseys leaked to the public last week. And all of a sudden, Luka is the white Power Ranger. Other sports happen too, believe it or not. The Dodgers won the 2020 World Series last week, proving once again that dreams really do come true if you have more money than everyone else. And look, I knew 2020 was a little abnormal, but even I didn't have Tormund from Game of Thrones getting a World Series ring. Now we're going to pull back the curtain a little bit. We taped this before the results of the election came in, and we had no idea what was going to happen. So we planned for a bunch of different scenarios just in case. The results are in, and Joe Biden is the 46th president of the United States. Weekend at Bernie's 3 is about to be 4 years long. Donald Trump has won re-election because America is a lot like Whose Line Is It Anyway, where everything is made up and the points don't matter. Kanye West is the 46th president of the United States, so now we all have to dress like assholes. As the results of the election were rolling in, planet Earth was overtaken by extraterrestrial life forms. I, for one, welcome our alien overlords. All hail Zorp. The election results are in, and you, yes, you, are the next president of the United States. Trump crossed East Island, no nie tak silent kak Putin, Grubashki Detskie. And the results of the presidential election are in, and oh crap, there's an asteroid. So in summary, the Cowboys are on fire. The COVID-19 pandemic continues to hang over our country. And as a whole, we're still pretty divided as a nation. One thing I know we can all agree on is sometimes it's nice to just go get lunch with someone. With Texas Radio Hall of Famer Mike Reiner, it's time for Work Lunch with Dina Adi.
I think the Dizzy will play for me.
Oh, absolutely my favorite.
I hope the Daisy is your second favorite.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, then I'll take that.
Not the right one.
March 2020, world flips upside down. And all of a sudden we are locked in our houses, you know, in extreme lockdown probably for like the next 3 months. How did you cope? You did the right thing by retiring at the right time because you didn't have to worry about
boy,
that.
I sure did. I sure did. If there was ever a time to get out of the game, it was when I did it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I coped just like everybody else. You cope by coping, you know?
I went crazy.
Did you?
Yeah.
Stir crazy?
Yeah.
One thing I've found, or one thing that's been reinforced, and it's something I kind of always knew and have been aware of, but I thought it might change once I was out of the game, and I'm finding out that it really hasn't. But I got to keep busy some way.
Yeah.
I got to have something up to keep me busy. I got to have something to engage my mind.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you because, you know, you retire from radio and then only to then start a podcast eventually. So was it that you missed talking sports, or were you just ready to leave the daily radio show? Because you can see where that's like a little confusing. Like,
Yeah,
you just left radio.
it was definitely time for me to get out of there.
Yeah.
It was definitely time for me to try to go find something else. Now, when I did it, I had no idea what that was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I wondered and dealt with the idea that there's probably going to be a pretty good chance that nobody was going to want me to do anything, you know? And if that were the case, I was all right with it, you know? I mean, I had done for the last 25, 26, whatever it was, years. And, you know, when I left there, I didn't have anything to prove to anybody. I didn't have anything to prove to myself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could have just trundled off down the road and that would have been that. I'd have been fine with it.
Mm-hmm.
But a couple of days after that video dropped, the fabled video dropped,
Of course.
the guys from The Athletic rang me up
Mm-hmm.
and said that they wanted to get together. And I thought, well, okay, I don't know these guys, but let's go to the landing, sit down, and see what they have to say. And they said, we want you to come do some stuff for us. And I said, well, we're not really known for writing sports. He said, well, we don't want you for that. We want you in our podcast space. I thought, okay, that's interesting. What do you have in mind? And they said, we want what's on Mike's mind.
Hmm.
And I thought, okay,
Mm-hmm.
all right, this I can do.
Yeah. I know you've told the story a million times, but what gave you the idea of the ticket? What made you want to start it?
It was starting to pop up everywhere across the nation. Like, I would go on vacation with my wife and daughter back then, go to places like Chicago, Seattle, Boston. They had
on the radio.
Yeah, and they had sports radio.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be out there hanging out with them and everything. And all I'd want to do is just drive around and listen to the sports radio station.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I couldn't do that. I was on vacation. But I did listen to it enough to see what it was like,
Yep.
see how it worked, see how they did it, see that there were people out there that seemed to be into it, you know,
Yeah.
seemed that it kind of had a little bit of life
Right.
to it. And I came away from that saying, well, why can't that happen here?
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that's made it so successful is that nobody doesn't like each other, or nobody has angst toward anybody else. Now, this doesn't apply to Skip Bayless.
No.
Nobody liked him.
Yeah.
You know what I watch more than anything else?
What?
You're gonna laugh. I don't care.
What's that?
Jeopardy.
I did watch your documentary though. It was great. It was great. I really enjoyed it. What was that? Was that experience therapeutic for you?
In a lot of ways, yeah.
Everything terrific.
This is so delicious.
So
that
good.
I can't even express how delicious it
I'm
was
happy about
astounding.
that.
My
Just
gosh.
astounding.
Was he with the ticket when he made an enemy out of Troy Aikman?
Believe so. This is when there were people down there, they'd be walking around, it's pretty crowded, you know?
Yeah.
And on one corner, you'd have some guy yelling and screaming about Jesus and how the coming was near. Across the street, there'd be a guy screaming, yelling about the commies. And over across the street from that, there'd be somebody else screaming and yelling about something. I mean, it was that kind of thing. And it really added an element of instability and craziness to the city and to the time.
So going back to your documentary, I'm sure it was therapeutic at least to make amends with Grego. Wasn't that kind of the time that you did it? Because you hadn't talked to him until the documentary, right?
No, I hadn't.
Forgiveness is always therapeutic.
Well, I don't know if I forgive him. But usually, with me, I'm not really great with grudges, even though some would tell you, oh yeah, he is too. But usually a little time will take care of just about anything with me.
Yeah.
And we're about at that point to where, you know, I look back on him, and I don't know if we'll ever be like friends again. I don't know that he's anybody I want to hang out with or anything, but I didn't mind being around him when we made the documentary. He was very cooperative. He was very forthright in his interviews.
Yeah.
And
He owned up to it.
yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He did, and I have regained a certain amount of regard for him. Let's put it that way. A lot of people have been asking me what I've been doing in retirement. Well, one thing I did was I read this book called Dallas 1963 by Bill Minutaglio. And it's a book about what was going on here in the days that led up to that, in the months and years and days that led up to the JFK thing. And this book does two things. Number one, it underscores everything that I saw down there. And number two, it makes me think even more than I already did that there is no way Oswald acted alone.
Do you mind me asking what year you were born?
1950.
Okay. So you were 13 years old when JFK was
Yeah.
assassinated. Do you remember where you were that day?
We're on junior high, room 121. The teacher was Mr. Stoll. Sitting directly in front of me was Chip Painter. Sitting directly behind me was Kim Taylor. Around me were Bob Montgomery, Steve Walker, Bill Miller, and a host of others.
You remember a little?
Oh yeah.
I have this infatuation with JFK and just the whole assassination. I mean, I watched on YouTube the 3-hour coverage from WFAA that day. The TV director and news director ran from Dealey Plaza because he was just there just to see the president, and ran
Yeah.
to the WFAA studios at the time. That was
Yeah.
just down the street. And he just grabs the mic,
Yeah, just took it over.
interrupts whatever program they were doing at the time. And he was like, you know, excuse that I'm out of breath right now, but the president has just been shot.
And very often you'll find a zipper hidden in the arm. And
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You'll excuse the fact that I'm out of breath, but about 10 or 15 minutes ago, a tragic thing, from all indications at this point, has happened in the city of Dallas.
Another tangential story that I have that's kind of connected to that. But another guy that I knew growing up in Oak Cliff was Alan Tippett. And I didn't know him real well. Alan was a tough guy. And I didn't know him real well, but I knew him well enough to know that his dad was a cop. And in fifth period, I had wood shop. And Alan Tippett was in that class. You know, in the classes that day, once it happened, you did nothing but just listen to the accounts over the PA. They just broadcast the thing like over the PA, and there was no school. You just sat there and listened. They said, we now have the identity of the Dallas police officer shot. It's Officer J.D. Tippett. And I'll never forget just kind of doing this and kind of very slowly turning my head to the right where he would have been sitting a couple tables over, and he was not there. By then, they'd already come and gotten him.
Well, Mike, thank you so much for joining me on Work Lunch. I had a lovely time. I hope you...
Excellent lunch, excellent company, Dina. Thank you for having me.
Lovely. All right, well, we'll see you for next season, for season 2, once we're picked up by a TV station.
Let's do it.
All right.
Now it's time for the game show portion of Sports and Such. And yes, this is episode 3, which means we've gotten a little bit of a budget now. That's right. But instead of using it on, better lighting, I decided to buy a onesie, Oscar the Grouch action. And so here we are. The game show happens with me lounging on my couch in a onesie, but I'm thrilled to welcome these two ladies to the show. Together, they host the very popular podcast. This thing's going to win a lot of awards in the podcast award show.
Oh, yeah.
Coming up in a few years. I don't even know what that is, but
okay.
It's called the Mom Game.
I think we've already been nominated, actually.
Mm-hmm. Okay, they've been nominated for awards in the podcast awards market, which is out there. I promise you. It's called the Mom Game, and you can find that on vocalnow.com. Go listen and give that a download. But tonight I'm going to pit them against each other because I'm a bit of a grouch like that. I'm going to introduce you separately. It's a little easier that way to communicate via Zoom. You know her from Texas Rangers broadcast and so much more. Maybe you've pre-COVID times ran into her at a casino. It is my good friend. I think it's my good friend. I don't know if she would say the same about me, but it is Emily Jones McCoy. Emily, thank you so much.
Of course, I would say the same thing about you, KT. Happy to be here, and cheers.
Cheers. And I like that hat.
Thank you.
And also, Emily, your opponent tonight from Sports Radio 96.7 and 1310 The Tickets, Normandy Invasion, featuring Mike Soroy. And from Super Bad Radio, or whatever Jake and Dan are going with these days, I really don't know. Please welcome a fellow Dave Matthews Band fan, Julie Daw.
That's right. Thank you, KT. Happy to be here and happy for the DMB support. I didn't get much of it when I announced that on the radio.
Yeah, and you know what? I think people need to quit hating, Hey, let people like what they want to like. That's what I
know.
Y'all are going DMB, huh? Okay.
I mean, it's not like my favorite in the world, but I said it was great to see live, and I got a lot of hate.
Yeah.
Hardcore fans call him Dave.
Showed me support. Yeah.
Now, you guys don't know this, but you're playing for a prize tonight.
Oh, sweet.
What you're playing for tonight is a free babysitter. That's right.
Oh, really?
I'm led to believe that you're both incredible mothers, and you deserve a chance to get away. So the winner of the game tonight gets a free weekend of babysitting from Barry's Babysitting Service. That's right. My roommate Barry is going to come take care of your kids, so you and the husband can go have a romantic getaway, or whatever. I don't know what married people do when they get some freedom. I truly live alone. So there he is. There's your babysitter for a weekend coming up soon, Barry.
I'm really sad. I thought that was for real, and I don't even know your roommate, but I was going to say he's welcome to come babysit. But now that I know it's an inanimate object, I feel like I can't let him watch my kids.
I'm still in. Totally in, Barry.
If you drink enough, he starts to move. It's kind of funny how that works. Now, tonight's game show is very simple. It's a little game of higher and lower. I'm going to start with you, Emily. Okay. All right. And I will ask you a question, and you will give an answer, and then if you don't get it, then Julie can respond, and I'll let you know if it's higher or lower until one of you gets it right. All right. According to a survey that I found on a website on the internet,
Wow.
what percentage of mothers feel pressure to make the holiday season special for their kids?
They just feel the need to make it special.
According to those surveyed, it was 2,000 mothers were surveyed.
Okay. I'm
What
going to go
percentage?
84.
Sadly, it's lower. Let's go to
Oh.
Julie.
Well, I was going to say higher. Okay, so now I'm supposed to guess the exact percent.
Yes.
It's lower. Let's go 65.
It's going to be higher than 65%. Back to Emily.
78. 78.
It's lower than 78%. Over to Julie.
70.
It's lower than 70%. Over to Emily.
69.
She got it! 69%.
Very
Well,
nice.
I'm glad that Emily's the one that got to yell that number and not me.
That may have been the reason I asked that question.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine it. Emily yelled it very enthusiastically. So there you go. You got what you wanted. And I escaped it. I get enough of that from noon to 3.
So, Emily, you have a 1-0 lead, but we will start this round with Julie. What year was the hit song Ice Ice Baby by Vanilla Ice released?
I'm so bad at remembering when things happened in years. Okay. Was it the 80s? Probably like 89?
It is higher than 1989.
90.
Over to Emily.
1990.
That's correct. 1990.
I was so close out of
were.
nowhere. Wow.
I knew Emily would have the right range.
It's kind of my jam.
I was in the right range. I was 1 year off. I
You
did
guys,
it
are
for
into you guys are into DMB and I'm into Vanilla Ice.
Okay, so it's 2-0, Emily. We go to round 3. And just so you guys know, there's 5. Okay. So we're going
Okay.
to start with Emily here. Emily with the big lead here. The Texas Rangers were established in 1972. The Dallas Stars were established in 1993. But what year were the Dallas Mavericks established as an NBA franchise?
1986.
It is lower than 1986.
1980.
It's correct. 1980. Julie's on the board.
Brilliant.
According to Wikipedia, if any
Okay.
hardcore Mavs fans want to challenge Oscar the Grouch here, you're going to get a Wikipedia
No.
fact check.
You're
Very-
completely
very reliable
believable.
source.
You're
Very
very believable right now. No one would challenge you.
Emily 2, Julie 1. We go to round 4. We'll start with Julie. According to another survey that I found online on a website that I won't tell you, what percent of Americans say that autumn or fall is the season when they are at their happiest?
Huh.
I surveyed 2,000 Americans here.
You did?
Well, no, but
Okay. Fall is when they're at their happiest. I would say probably just over 50%. Like, because a lot of people love summer. Spring is also very happy. So I'm going to say 55%.
it is higher than 55%. Over to Emily.
69.
Is it 69? It's lower than 69%.
60%.
It is lower than 60%. Over to Emily.
56%.
That is correct. 56%.
Wow. Are we really good guessers or what? We're
Y'all
kind
are
of killing
crushing
this game, Em.
Mm-hmm.
So Emily has 3 and Julie has 1 as we go to the final question that is worth 3 points.
And that's horseshit, honestly. That's
I haven't won it yet.
Okay, let's go. Let's go.
Without going over, how much did this Oscar the Grouch onesie cost me?
Did you tell us where you got it?
Spirit Halloween.
Ah, kind of pricey.
I will let you guys finish, and then we'll we'll do a big reveal all at once. And it says Scram on it, and if you need another detail, they tacked on a fake trash can. You know.
Awesome.
Right
That's
there.
cute. I'm changing my answer.
Oh, after the fake trash can.
Yes. The price went down.
This onesie didn't come with a bottom. I mean, trash can bottom. It has the bottom part, but the trash can bottom.
You're wearing something down there, right?
We'll leave that up to the audience's imagination.
Okay.
Yes. All right. Are we both ready?
Yep.
On the count of 3, please hold up your answer to the screen. 1, 2, 3. Julie says $19.99. Emily says $22. All right. You're both under, which is good. None of you overbid.
That means I win.
It cost me $39.99. Emily Jones is your winner.
Yes.
Wow. Well, you know what they say, older and wiser.
Oh, really?
It rings true. And
really,
I'm very proud of you.
You're such a bee.
I love you.
Well played. Well played, girl.
So Emily, you and the Hammer can go have a weekend out on the road or something, and
I can't wait.
Barry will keep the kids.
Yeah, Barry will do as good as some of the babysitters I've hired over the years. So it'll be great.
At least he's a Stars fan.
Now he's got a hoodie for every season. I just haven't changed him in a while.
Okay.
Thank you so much for joining me on Sports and Such episode 3. Really appreciate it. Would you like to have the forum just for a minute to talk about the Mom Game podcast or anything special you might have coming up or anything like that?
No, just check us out. We appreciate you having us. I mean, episode 3, I feel kind of honored. I feel like we're at the top, kind of toward the top of the list, you know? Pretty big deal for us. So,
or nobody else was available. Something
or nobody
like
else
that.
was available. Yeah, one or the other.
Thanks for having us.
Check us out. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram at the Mom Game Pod. We have some fun, drink some wine, talk some sports, talk some momming so hard, and laugh a lot along the way. So thanks for having us.
A lot. Yep.
Awesome. Again, congratulations on your victory, Emily. Julie, just go fire up some sad Dave Matthews song to get over it, and it'll be fine.
There's no such thing. They all make me happy.
They're so good. Go to vocalnow.com, download the Mom Game. There they go. Julie Dobbs and Emily Jones McCoy. Bye. Thank you.
Thanks, KT.
Thank you to our special guests, Mike Reiner, Emily Jones McCoy, Julie Dobbs, and Pat Robertson from the 700 Club. I'm Kevin Turner. We'll see you next time on Sports and Such.